we are headed out of Vientiane, and we are on our way to Cambodia. We really enjoyed Laos. That's it for Laos this time. I think we will come back. Lovely place, very nice people, with banging tunes. So anyway, time to get to the airport. Let's get through security now and wait. Well, security is very quick. Almost on the plane.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you. Do not remove the life jacket from its location.
Visa on arrival here was $10 cheaper than Laos and a little bit more digital and easy. We're here. We've arrived. We got our bags, no problem at all, in and out. 15 minutes. Getting the phones working was a breeze. Side note, it is cheaper outside the airport, but this is still a great deal. This contraption is called a remorque.
Yeah, remorque.
Looks a lot different than Laos. It looks a lot like Vietnam or Thailand. Got back in the traffic again. This super cool and chill looking dog looks so content to be vehicle surfing with his guardian. I was nervous about the dog getting hurt, but I saw how he looked at me like I was a piece of crap for daring to question how he lives his life, and so I relented. Just getting to our hotel, and then we can get exploring this place. It's hot. We purchased a $30 room. Canadian. But we were upgraded to the $50 room for free. Ow, ow! Thank you, low occupancy! At a lot of places in Southeast Asia, if your bills that you intend to change have even a 0.001% defect in any part of the bill whatsoever, the bill will not be accepted. We presented two brand new $100 bills, and one of them had the security stripe ever so slightly lifted at the top corner of the security stripe where it meets, like just the teeniest little edge was lifted. Rejected. Phnom Penh Central Market. Let's go take a peek inside. It feels a lot like Bentan Market in Ho Chi Minh City. Wow, fancy dome. You can tell it's fancy because we're in the piles of watches and jewelry section. Costs more to be under the dome. This is more the Southeast Asia we've grown accustomed to. It sounds so loud compared to Laos. So this restaurant does have some egg and milk added, but it was very easy, even with limited English, to find all of the different items that don't, which is actually almost the entire menu. We've got some herbal tea and something that was called roselle juice. That does taste like hibiscus tea, kind of like a limey, kind of dusky taste. Very interesting. Almost like ketchup chips in a weird way. The herbal tea is a little bit strange. I taste what tastes like fenugreek. Yeah, it's very herbaceous. And parsley potentially in there.
Very nice.
Very quick. The fried wontons are sharp and crispy on the outside. They have a little pocket of slightly chewy, soft mushroom with some very, very basic seasoning. And it comes with sort of a sweet, very mildly spicy sauce. Quite tasty. Flat noodles, fried lightly, mixed together with just the mushrooms, a little bit of sauce. It seems like the main way that this restaurant does vegan meat is through the use of marinated, firm, stringy mushroom. Really, really tasty. They do have a meaty kind of countenance to them. Really hearty and tasty. It was also a soup done pretty much the exact same way as the noodles, just with broth as a base. In this soup, the broth has a nice 5-spice type of flavor. Very, very gently done. A little bit of herbs and these really, really chewy, satisfying flat noodles, deep and unique in flavors. Real tasty. Homemade simplicity through that Buddhist lens. We strolled to yet another night market. This one was unique in ways, sizable, and a decent amount of the vendors carried some things in North American sizing. Ground restaurants. That looks fun. I don't think I've seen that quite like that before. Sort of in India, but just like carpets and nice. If you're a tiny human, you sure could find a lot of relatively well-priced stuff here. I doubled back to the central market closer to opening the next day. Much more busy here in the morning. Came back the very next morning to get souvenir shopping and seeing lots of the stuff. Thank you very much. So while the food market portion opens well ahead of 7 a.m., the clothing and other textiles portion sets up for about 9 a.m. People are just getting ready now. I should mention that we're staying at the Oria Delight Hotel. Very comfortable, very nice room, and right near all the action, just a short walk to the central market. We are on the way to the Tuol Sleng Genocide Museum. Admission is $10 US, $14.50 Canadian per person with an audio guide.
Thank you.
My head's so ding dang big. This is a prison converted from a high school that had unspeakable horror. This museum is one of many sites and places that have been tainted with the trauma and ongoing pain from a devastating, senseless genocide on a horrific, massive scale against the people in Cambodia. After French occupation, after being bombed more than all of World War II combined during the secret war with the US as part of the Vietnam invasion, the Cambodian people hopeful for true freedom were subjugated and had every corner of their society that was left destroyed by a suspicious, malevolent government who operated a machine of genocide that killed nearly a third of Cambodia's entire population from 1975 to 1979. They moved people all over the country and forced them into agricultural labor and made impossible demands of them. They killed all the scholars, those with any sort of specialized expertise like doctors, scientists, technicians, and mechanics. They killed anyone who resisted, even those who could read. Wearing glasses was considered suspicious because it implied intellectualism, which was forbidden. This prison, modified from a once bustling grade school, became a sealed hell within the inner sanctum of the capital city where tens of thousands, perhaps even hundreds of thousands, were killed after having false confessions forced out of them by way of torture. This place was ground zero where people entered, but almost no one ever left. The paranoia of everyone grew to a fever pitch, and many of those credited with starting the revolution themselves became victims of the death machine of their country. The last victims and many unidentified remains are interred and preserved here. In Cambodia, you don't see a lot of men aged around the age of 70 to 80. Not many women either, because so many of them, at least a quarter of the country's population at the time, were murdered in killing fields, in prisons, via starvation. They rejected machines, intellectualism, religion. Anyone who was skilled or educated were purged in favor of forced slave labor. This S-21 prison area security center murdered all the prisoners, burned all the records, and tried to leave no trace. That's why there's an incredibly low amount of survivors from the actual fall of the place. Everyone in Cambodia has a family member or more than one family member who was murdered in just a 3, almost 4-year span. The man on the chair is Chum Me. He's a person who got to survive because of his ability to fix a typewriter. He was imprisoned here and was able to fix a typewriter, so they allowed him to live because there were not many mechanics, intellectuals, technicians, or people with skills because they had all been murdered. This man here has survived inexplicable, unimaginable torture because of his technical abilities. They have some of the survivors sat here sort of in front of their own writings and their own legacy to help provide context. And I can't help but wonder what that must be like to be sort of having a lot of your identity to do with the incredible torture that you survived, and then having to come back to that place and help other people understand it. Brave work. The things I've heard today are really, really difficult to process in lots of ways. Things I've seen sort of make me feel numb, and lots of people crying here. What they're doing here is good, but it's a must visit, but it's a difficult visit. At one point in their history, basically as I was being born, the country's Buddhist shrines were filled with bodies. The fields were filled with people they wouldn't even use bullets on. They would hit them with a pipe and then cut their throats. People tortured in the name of false accusations. One interesting fact here is that the chairperson of the prison, named Comrade Dup, he had people under his watch learning how to torture prisoners and becoming dispassionate about it by first perfecting that torture on animals. Yeah. That was hard. That's a hard visit. For Vegan Everywhere in Cambodia's capital city, Phnom Penh, I'm David.